All right, guys, here we go with Chapter 9, the interactive interim. Now, I do want to address the elephant of this chapter, keeping in mind that this book was written 20 years ago. So some of the information in here is going to be outdated or irrelevant, at least as far as the textbook goes. I have done my best with the notes to try to give some updated statistics and to try to account for certain things that are not in the textbook. So you'll want to especially pay attention to those particular sections, as there'll be kind of information that we'll use when we have our discussion time together. First off, let's take a look at the definition of new media. Basically, new media has pretty much become synonymous with the internet and things related to internet connectivity, but really it's any electronic interactive communications media that allows the user to request or receive delivery of information, entertainment, marketing materials, products, and services. So we're talking about the World Wide Web. We're also talking about different applications that use the internet, whether it's online gaming, whether it's video systems, whether it's things that you do on mobile or on tablets, applications that use those various interconnectivity sort of things. All of that we're grouping into new media. New media are generally accepted quickly by early adopters who want to be the first with the latest. So there's a built-in audience right there just by virtue of the fact that you're talking about a particular genre of information and entertainment, that you're already reaching people that want the latest and the greatest. A real brief look at new media in the past. The 1990s accelerated the pace of discovery of new ways to manipulate images, twist text, and connect ourselves with ever faster, more dazzling technology. Now, of course, as the book was written, the things that would have been lauded as accomplishments in this area would be things like America Online and CompuServe and MSN and all of those folks, Prodigy Internet and all of that, which we've come a long way since then. But even in the 90s, people were recognizing that we're on the brink of something huge. National Association of Broadcasters says we are living in the interactive interim, basically meaning that at that point in time, we were going through a transition of going from some of the things that we are now today calling traditional media, the ways that we've done mass broadcasting through television and radio and other sorts of publications you could put into that realm as well. And now we're at the point where people that don't have internet connectivity are generally going to be, because by and large, they don't have access to it for one reason or another. And it's become such a part of our society that it's pretty much accepted that people kind of understand what's going on in cyberspace. Canal Technologies said, with digital television, you're not just a viewer anymore, you're part of the action. Now, in the late 90s, heading into the early aughts, interactive TV was still fairly new. You were starting to see different elements of it come about, largely through cable television, with things like on-demand viewing and DVRs and things like that. But now, where we have smart TVs that act as internet devices in and of themselves, being able to provide streaming video and other sorts of streaming content, and ways to be able to give feedback on the things that you are consuming as you are consuming them, being able to click buttons to be able to purchase things that you see in ads while you're watching things on your smart TV device. It is very much an interactive sort of thing. Some statistics for you. Internet penetration in the United States right now, it is growing more and more and more. In 2017, 81.5% of the U.S. population was connected to the internet in one way or another. 88.7% in 2020 and projected to be 93.7% in 2023. And it is difficult, I think, for many of us to think of the idea that there would still be some people out there that are not connected online. But again, in some rural areas, in some economically depressed areas, there's still not the full saturation of internet availability as you might think. Even with mobile technology, mobile does not reach everywhere. So sometimes not even mobile is an option for people. But speaking of mobile, about 4 in 5 people were connected to the internet through mobile in 2018. Number of broadband subscriptions in the United States, this has increased significantly over the past 20 years from just over 7 million households in the year 2000 to 110 million households in 2018. Social media continues to grow, although there have been some dips from one year to the next in the statistics that I saw here. But you can see that for the most part, about 4 in 5 people are connected to social media in one way or another. Facebook, Twitter, whatever else people are connecting to. So it has become a significant way that we communicate with each other personally, and businesses have found it to be a significant way to reach out to its customer base as well. New competition. In the fall of 1997, Nielsen Media Research found a decline in television viewing in internet households in certain day parts. That was the first year that had happened. And networks that showed an affinity for the internet, these would be the particular networks listed here: ABC, Fox, NBC, Warner Brothers Network, had higher ratings in internet households than in the TV universe generally. So it was that idea that instead of looking at the internet so much as competition, that these networks embraced internet a little more and sought ways to complement what it was doing by use of the internet. They benefited from that philosophy. Some more stats for you. Traditional television consumption over the past few years. In 2014, there were 97.8 million homes that subscribed to cable television, and there were 35.8 million homes that were watching broadcast TV during prime time. So again, by broadcast TV, we mean the major networks that you can pick up with an antenna: CBS, ABC, Fox, all those guys. In 2018, both of those numbers had fallen by a good bit. 93.5 million homes subscribed to cable television, while 28.5 million homes were watching broadcast TV during prime time. Now, these numbers don't necessarily mean that people are not watching television. It's just showing that people aren't always watching television through those traditional means. A lot of people have started transitioning from watching their content using the rabbit ears or using their cable TV box and skipping that and using many of the online platforms that are available. In 2018, Nielsen reported that 68% of U.S. households have a connected TV device. So we're talking about things like smart TVs or other appliances that we may use to consume television, whether it's tablets or other smart devices and that sort of thing. So that's a little more than 2 out of 3 households that were consuming content in that way. As far as streaming itself goes, streaming accounts for 20% of television consumption in 2019 and 2020, and that was a doubling since just 2018. So in the period of about a year and a half, streaming has doubled in terms of the number of people that are consuming content in that way. Almost 1/3 of U.S. viewers subscribe to 3 or more streaming services, and 87% of adults 65 and older subscribe to at least one streaming service. So the idea that new media is for younger generations really is not holding true anymore. Many older Americans are embracing the online space and learning to connect through their computers, through their smart TVs, and are starting to embrace that technology. The popular streaming services, you'll see those listed there. Netflix, still the big winner out there, with YouTube, Hulu, and Amazon Prime also taking a significant share of online streaming viewers. The result of all this is that traditional media consumption is on the decline and new media consumption is quickly rising, very quickly rising. But at least for now, traditional media still reaches the masses, but it's doing so in different ways. It's not just relying on its traditional means of carriage. It's not just relying on its broadcast signal. It's not just relying on providing content through a local cable operator. It is finding all sorts of different means to get its content out to the public, whether it is embracing some of the newer cable services like YouTube TV and Sling and some of the other ones that are out there, or using their own websites or various apps that you can get on mobile or on smart TVs. There are some services that are providing live streams of what they are broadcasting out over the air, doing so online as well in their own separate sort of ways. CBS has been doing that for quite a while, but a lot of other broadcast networks are picking up on that as well. So traditional media isn't necessarily dead. It is definitely evolving, but it's not dead. Here's the dilemma, though. How to provide programming that satisfies two different types of audiences: the sit back and watch people and those who want to interact online. We're starting to see more of that with some of the things that we've just talked about, where there is kind of the ability for people to have options and to be able to consume content in their own way. For a lot of older Americans, it can still be kind of challenging to think about television in particular, not as appointment type of viewing. I mean, I personally still kind of fall into that trap of, oh, it's Tuesday night. Some of my favorite shows are on. Make time to watch those. And that's how I consume a lot of the stuff that I watch. But it's less and less becoming important to do so because of the availability of apps and things like that, to be able to watch things whenever you want to, whenever you have the free time to do so. Now, part of the challenge with that is not just people consuming content from a programming perspective, but also people consuming advertising and how different media outlets are going to measure the effectiveness of that advertising. A lot of things have been happening in that space where Nielsen and some of the other researchers have determined ways to figure out the effectiveness of a certain show and its advertising reach, considering all the different platforms that it's on over a certain period of time. There's also the measurement of comparing traditional media with new media, with that same content. So those things are evolving, but the measurements aren't quite still in the apples to apples sort of approach that really help to give a universal picture as to what is happening as you go from network to network and platform to platform. Television, like print, is a one-way medium. That's not value judgment. That's fact. The thing of it is, you can't interact with the broadcast TV signal. You tune the channel, it comes in, you take in what it gives you. However, the telephone and the internet are two-way media. Now, that doesn't make them better, it just makes them different. Now, of course, there's going to be arguments that some people prefer that to other means of media, but again, it's that comfort level sort of thing. However, different is what punches new ideas through. Again, it's that idea that it's new. It's the idea that it offers certain types of conveniences and different types of features. And some of those things are very attractive to people, not just from the new and shiny perspective, but from the convenience perspective of being able to consume things in the way and the means and the time in which they want to consume them. What about seasons? So in television, traditionally, we have consumed content in terms of the broadcast season. New shows would show up in the fall, and we'd get the first half of the season during the fall months, second half of the season late winter into spring. Wouldn't necessarily see a whole lot of new content over the holidays, maybe some Christmas specials and things like that. And we wouldn't see a lot of new content over the summer because people weren't home during the summers. They would go and go on vacation, spend time with family and friends, all that sort of thing. Traditional family structures, you could either argue just don't exist anymore, or the traditional family structure has just changed significantly to where the ways and means by which we used to consume television don't really fit within that paradigm anymore. So the thing of it is that right now, because of the way that online viewing has evolved, we've gotten to the point where viewers have the ability to watch anything at any time, whether it's distributed by traditional mass media, individualized media like video rentals, remember those, or one-on-one online downloads. It's very easy to just say, hey, I want to watch such and such. And there's going to be a means for you to be able to go and watch such and such at the time that you want to watch such and such. So, even broadcast television has started to see that the broadcast season, while it's still the main vehicle for the major networks, they're starting to kind of adjust and play with that some. You're starting to see a lot more summer features on the various networks. A lot of reality shows tend to play out over the summer months. You have different networks that are playing around with the start and end times of seasons of new shows that are coming out. Fox is very good at that sort of thing. So seasons still provide a structure in traditional media, but at the same time, seasons have become less and less important because of the way that content is now being made available and the demand that people have to be able to watch content whenever they want to just makes seasons less relevant. All right, let's talk about net gain. Most often, new media means the internet generally and the World Wide Web specifically. And again, as I've mentioned, we also incorporate into that things like mobile apps and different sort of on-the-go interconnectivity. In 1997, Morgan Stanley's Mary Meeker outlined 6 major issues facing the internet, and I thought this would be good to include because some of these things are still questions that media outlets are asking today, and some of them you can kind of see what happened in history in terms of thinking about how this is going to evolve, and we can talk about whether some of those things have actually become effective or not. First, figuring out the appropriate company valuations. So what is the online space worth? How much is a company that provides online content worth? What's the value to advertisers? Determining which companies provide the best portals to the web. And this would come largely from when you would subscribe to various internet service providers. Again, America Online, CompuServe, all those folks. Nowadays, the portals are basically going to be through whoever you get your service for internet in general, whatever cable company or telephone company that you're dealing with. The growth of web commerce and advertising revenue. And we are seeing the growth of the web by leaps and bounds. As far as the advertising revenue, some companies are doing it very well. Others still trying to figure that out. There are a lot of online companies out there that are serving their users very well as far as from a content perspective, but still have struggled to make any sort of significant profit. How quickly enterprises launch websites, create in-house online resources for their employees, and develop direct online links with other businesses. It's almost become expected that a company that has any sort of ambition besides being a small mom and pop business, that they're going to have some sort of online presence. And even now, the small mom and pop businesses are seeing value in either having a website and or presence on social media and those sorts of things. How successful America Online will be with its transition to the internet. I think we know how that turned out. And how Microsoft's relentless effort to gain market share in all categories will impact other players. So this one kind of goes a little bit beyond the online space and just the way that Microsoft has developed as a company over the past 20 years. And while Microsoft is still pretty much synonymous with computing these days, there has been competition out there. Microsoft has its fans. It has its people that don't like the way that Microsoft does business with certain things. There's been a good bit of controversy over the Windows 10 platform. As far as the online space itself, it's not so much become a content provider as much as it has done a lot of integration with the internet, with its operating systems and tie-ins and things like that, which is where some of the controversy has come from.